Shabbat Shalom. Our weekly Torah portion is Vayigash. He approached. Our parasha unfolds as the situation looks bad for Joseph's brothers. The last time that they went down to Egypt, they were suspected of being spies. One of the brothers, Simon, was even taken as a prisoner. Now they've been suspected as being thieves, and it seems to be no good outcome to this saga. Judah, the leader among the brothers, approaches Joseph and speaks to his heart. And immediately afterwards, Joseph confesses to his brothers, saying, "I am Joseph, your brother." Like Joseph, Yeshua truly longs to be amongst his brothers, his family. As soon as the people of Israel are ready, Yeshua will immediately confess to us and say, "I am Yeshua, your brother. Come to me, and I will give you the bread of life." And like the reunion of Joseph with his brothers, this encounter between the people of Israel and Yeshua the Messiah will be a touching reunion. Joseph calls his brothers, "Come close to me," and explains to them that this was actually the plan of God. And now, do not be distressed, and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. So too Yeshua invites us unto him. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." And Yeshua will comfort us and explain to us that we should not worry, because it was God's plan to save Israel, in fact, the whole world. Just as Joseph said, it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. God sent Yeshua the Messiah ahead to save lives so that we may have eternal life in him. In Genesis 45, Joseph asks his brothers to inform their father that he is alive and living in Egypt like a king. Joseph asks his brothers to bring their father and all they have to Egypt so they may have food and life, because there is a great famine in the world. Yeshua sent us and his disciples to proclaim the good news that Yeshua lives, and not only that he lives, but that he is the King, seated on the throne, and he has the power to feed us with the bread of life. In Genesis 45:25, the brothers returned to their father's house, according to the commandment of Joseph. They told him, "Joseph is still alive. In fact, he is a ruler of all Egypt." Jacob was stunned. He did not believe them. With their own eyes, the brothers saw Joseph alive and well, living as king over the Egyptian empire. Even they did not believe it. Joseph had to convince them that it is him. The brothers returned to Jacob with wagons full of food, clothing, and money. Jacob sees the wagons but cannot believe it. The situation is the same today. It took us some time to realize that Yeshua is the Messiah of Israel, who is alive and well, sitting at the right hand of God. But when we return home to our brothers, they do not believe us. We have to work hard and prove that Joseph is really Joseph. That is, that Yeshua is really a brother, one of us, and he is truly the Messiah of the world, sitting at the right hand of God. And the day will come when we all shall say, "Yeshua, the King of Israel, is alive." God promises us a happy ending. At first, it seemed as though there was no hope, as if everything was lost. The situation today is bad. Most of the time, there is no hope. The situation in the world is bad. The situation in politics is bad. It seems that Yeshua is far from Israel. But there is hope. It ends well. Simon was in prison. The rest of the brothers were suspected to be spies. All were suspected of being thieves. It looks like there's no way out of this mess. In the middle of all that, Judah, the leader amongst the brothers, approaches Joseph and speaks to his heart. Again and again, Judah proves that he is a natural leader. When we examine the scriptures, we see that Judah is usually smart. He's wise and knows how to read people and actually touch on sensitive spots with those he comes into contact with. If we go back a little, the Bible tells us that the brothers want to kill Joseph when he comes to Dothan. Reuben and Judah are the two brothers who are interested in keeping him alive. Reuben's plan was to save Joseph later from the pit. And Judah, he waited for the other brothers to eat and rest, for them to lose some of their anger. And then he offered to sell Joseph into slavery and not to kill him, because Joseph is nevertheless their brother. The main point is Judah's timing and the fact that he managed to persuade the other to do something different from their original plan. Such was the case when the brothers are trying to persuade Jacob to let them take Benjamin down to Egypt so they can bring food due to the famine, and to release Simon, who is still in an Egyptian prison. Reuben tries to persuade Jacob and is unsuccessful, but Judah succeeds. Judah actually uses the same reasoning that Jacob used to send them off to Egypt the first time, so that we may live and not die. Judah uses the exact same words. He asks Jacob to let them take Benjamin, so that we and you and our children may live and not die. We see that Judah touches Jacob and succeeds in convincing him to give them charge over Benjamin against his better judgment. And now, in this week's Torah portion, Judah approaches Joseph. Judah uses his wisdom and touches on a sensitive spot for Joseph. The sensitive spot is a father figure. And he mentions the concept of father 13 or 14 times. The whole point of the speech is to clarify to Joseph that they do not want to hurt their father. Judah's speech hits spot on, and Joseph cannot control himself. He breaks down crying. And the first question he asks is my father still living? Today's world makes us think how small we are, that everything is passing, temporary, and unimportant. When we think of the heroes of our weekly Torah portion, what was going in their head? Could they have imagined that their lives and their deeds were of eternal significance? And that in thousands of years, people would read, study, and tell about their actions? I think that probably not. They probably had no idea. Yes, God promised them that a great nation was going to be born of them. They knew it, but they did not see it through their daily actions. In fact, only from a great distance of many years can we look and examine the pages of history and appreciate the greatness of these people and the historical process that God set in motion through them. We can see that history is written word by word, person by person, action by action. To a certain extent, the Bible is not yet finished. Today, we live the prophecies predicted many years ago. We are still the same humanity created by God, and God has not abandoned us. Our lives have meaning, even if we do not feel it daily. We carry responsibilities. The day will come, and out of our complicated lives, yet another chapter will be written in the pages of history. And people will learn about what we have done and how we have lived, and about God who led us to a better future. One of the most important goals as a movement and as a community must be education of the younger generation, because they are the continuation. They are what the Messianic movement will look like in the future. And upon them, the generation after will be built. We can influence the next generation and bring them into a more biblical lifestyle. Together we can influence and educate. The future is in our hands. In the future, both of the body of Messiah and the relationship between Israel and Yeshua is based on our actions. and on the actions of our children. In conclusion, these people, like Judah, Reuben, Jacob, and even Joseph, never dreamt or thought that so many years later, people would still talk about what they did and about what God did through them. Even if they saw it good or evil, God used these people and created the history that we are living today. We too are part of this history. And God uses us and will use our children in the future. We must prepare the ground as best we can for the kingdom of heaven. It is in our hands, here and now. Judging from what I read in the Bible, Judah was a wise man, and he knew how to deliver the right word at the right time. We must learn to deliver our words at the right time, the right place, in the right tone, in the right amount. This is true when we speak with our spouses, with our children, and also when we talk about the words of the Bible with others. Shabbat Shalom.